is the year that they start doing these logos, they're projected to make like at most like $150 million. But this is the same season that their $24 billion TV contract kicks in. Like, I would understand if this was a league that was hurting for money, you know, and if they really had a lot of teams operating at losses and they really needed the money, you know what? It's like, sell it to advertisers, keep your league going. But, like, you don't need the money. That's the part that is just unfathomable to me. That the year they get this giant influx of TV money, they're also going to sell this teeny little ad on their jersey.
Well, to be fair, they've been trying to get this, they've been talking about this for some time now. I feel like I've heard this for the last maybe 3 years, if not longer.
Yeah. Well, this is the same season they're switching to Nike, too. So I think that's why they think it makes sense.
That does make sense. I'm curious to see how the new jerseys look. I'm assuming they're gonna have a little bit of a different feel style to them than the Adidas style was, but I agree with you. I don't want the logos to overshadow. I almost would have just preferred that they put the logos on the warm-ups, because then the warm-ups have a chance of. I mean, they wear it during the actual warm-ups as well as halftime, etc. I don't know.
I don't feel like I see the warm-ups.
They can wear it while they're sitting down.
Yeah, I mean, unless you're making it huge, I don't think you see the warm-ups.
That's what I mean. I'd rather it be huge on a warm-up than small logo that's just kind of, I don't know. I'm judging before I see it, so I have to see it.
You saw it at the All-Star game. I mean, I didn't like it, but I didn't hate it. You know, it was there. And here's the other thing.
I don't even remember it.
Well, okay, so it couldn't have affected you if you don't even remember it. I mean, here's the thing, too. Right now, so Adidas supplies all the jerseys. There's no Adidas logo on their uniforms. When they switch to Nike, they are going to have the swoosh on, I guess, the right side. So now they think that, if they can put a patch on the left side and it's kind of complimentary, and if you got the major corporate, the jersey provider on one side, go ahead and have a corporate partner on the other. So it's like they're already kind of like junking it up with the swoosh anyway. Not that I'm calling a swoosh junk, but like they're already putting more stuff than they normally would. So
right, it'll be interesting if when they go into buildings like telecom, right? So there's the AT&T. Is there an AT&T center?
Yeah, San Antonio plays the AT&T Center.
San Antonio, right?
Yep.
So if somebody has Verizon as like their sponsor, can they just go into the AT&T Center?
It's also going to be interesting if a player has a particular endorsement. So, if Russell Westbrook endorses Mountain Dew and, Coke or Sprite or whoever doesn't own Mountain Dew decides to, be on that logo, like I think there's going to be, a little bit of an issue there, let's say. So that's going to be interesting. And then there's also, I think the team keeps 50% of the money, but then 50% goes back into the pool for everyone. And I think that's how they finally got the owners to agree, because those bigger market teams think that they're going to sell their logo for a lot more, and they want to make sure they're keeping a bigger chunk of that pie. So, I mean, while I don't like this, from a business side, I think it's interesting.
That is very interesting. So not next year, but the year after.
Yep.
Okay, got it.
So the 2017-2018 season.
Got it. And that's when Nike also takes over.
Yep.
So next year is the last year Adidas has the uniforms.
Yes.
All right.
I believe so. So,
yeah,
all right.
Because it's 2016-17 next year.
Yeah, I don't even know what year it is, so it's hard to know what year next year. And then it's like, I wish the season didn't go over New Year's Eve. Like, I wish it was just one calendar year was a season. It'd be so much easier. So, okay, moving on from ads on jerseys. Let's talk about the coaching carousel. So, we've already had
how much I hate this.
I know. We've already had some changes, though. So the Timberwolves have announced that Sam Mitchell is out as the interim coach, and they have officially begun a coaching search. The Wizards have fired Randy Whitman after 5 seasons, and the Kings, shockingly, finally fired George Karl after like a season and a half. They still owe him like $5 million. And the Nets, who fired Lionel Hollins, I think back in February, have hired Atlanta assistant Kenny Atkinson as their new coach.
Yep. It's interesting how many coaches this year got fired altogether.
Well, there was 5 during the season, and then we have these 2 now. And I mean, I don't expect any of these playoff teams to fire their coaches, but you never know.
Yeah, you never know. I mean, we all kind of saw George Karl. I'm surprised he lasted a whole season.
I am too.
Considering all the rumors were back in November that he was going to get fired.
I mean, he was getting fired like 2 days after he got the job. Like, it was just,
right.
Oh my God.
Sacramento's the only team that makes me feel better about my Knicks in terms of organization.
In terms of dysfunction.
Yeah.
And the Kings' job to me is just, who wants it? Like, I don't know,
right.
As a coach, why do you want to deal with the dysfunctional front office? Why do you want to put up with Boogie? Unless Boogie picks a guy that he wants and he's going to, be good to, I don't know why you'd want this job.
I don't know. I'm almost to the point where I don't even know who their GM is. Is it still Divac? Is it still, because he was like an interim, yes. And then he became a GM, and then all of this randomness started happening. So,
he's still the GM. So, I don't know. I think, and I heard the Wizards are actually interested in Scott Brooks and Jeff Hornacek. I don't know if I said that right. I've heard the Timberwolves are interested in Tom Thibodeau as well as Jeff Van Gundy. But I think it's interesting that the Timberwolves' number one, choice, at least it seems like, is Tibbs, and the Wizards' number one choice seems to be Scott Brooks. Personally, I think they would be much better fits if they flip-flopped. I think Scott Brooks would be a great fit in Minnesota, and I think Tibbs is a better fit in Washington.
Well, Tibbs has a much larger play at hand. He wants to have a president/coach role similar to what Doc has.
What do you think of that role? I don't like it.
I think unless you're Pop, I don't really think it works.
Right, and he's
I feel
obviously
as though
the
sometimes, yeah, he's the exception. I feel like Doc is hit or miss, right? Like he's gotten a lot of players who he once had under him when he was with Orlando, when he was with Boston, etc. And I almost feel as though he's tried to duplicate that as front office with the Clippers. And some have been good and some have been bad, like Hedo Turkoglu. So yeah. I just feel like it really depends on the type. Like, I don't know Tibbs to be a front office guy. So it'd be interesting to see what he could do if he does get that role.
Yeah, and I mean, there are others that have that role. I believe that Stan Van Gundy has it in Detroit. I know Flip Saunders had it in Minnesota before he passed away. I can't remember if there's any others. I mean, for me personally, I do agree. I mean, Pop makes it work. But Pop is also, like, the most versatile coach. Like, he has a style that he wants to play. But when he doesn't have the personnel, he adapts to what he has. So Pop can be a GM because GM Pop isn't hurting Pop coach. Whereas I think, other guys, like maybe a Doc, they're not, like, I think you need different people in these two roles because you need that separation of church and state. And I think, if you're just the, like, supreme ruler and you just make these decisions, like, they might not actually be, what's in your best interest or the team's best interest, in terms of all the pieces, that I think you want another opinion there. And you want someone who doesn't have to worry about the day-to-day coaching to be able to focus on the front office stuff. And then let your coach, advise on the front office stuff, but focus on the coaching and the X's and O's. And I just, I think there are a lot of coaches that now, they see some other coach got this, double role and they think they're entitled to it too. And pretty soon we're going to have, 30 people that are coaches and GMs. And I don't think that's the right way to do it, but that's just me.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I don't have a whole lot. I mean, let's see how this all plays out. Stan Van Gundy seems to be making it work, but I think the coaches who have combated with their front office are the ones who obviously want this type of role because, they're the bullheaded ones who feel like I have a certain player that I want and a certain style I want to play, and if management's not going to go my way, I'd rather just not work for that.
That reminds me, have you seen the movie Moneyball?
Yes, I have.
Okay, I love the part when the coach wanted to play, a certain lineup, and Brad Pitt was like, no, you're going to play the lineup I give you. And the coach says, no, I'm not. So Brad Pitt trades the guy that he wants to start like 5 minutes before the game. He says, now you can't start him. Like, I mean, that's like as adversarial as it comes. But I mean, that's just it's funny, like, you know. And I think that's where I feel like as long as you don't have, you know, a GM that's a dictator and says you're going to play the team that I, you know, whatever, like you have to play this and this and this, and I built the team to do X, Y, and Z. You know, obviously that's not going to work either. I think, honestly, Boston is the greatest example of a coach and a GM that work really well together. Danny Ainge gives Brad Stevens spare parts, and Brad Stevens is such a great coach. He figures out how to make them work.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know?
I mean, Danny Ainge is an executive that has done a lot of great things for that organization. Just even like their rebuild. Like their rebuild was, what, 2 seasons, I feel like?
Yeah.
2 or 3, not even.
Yeah, I mean,
2.5.
I don't think anyone saw them in the playoffs last year. They got in. I think they were the 7 seed. You know, and then this year they were great. They finished in a 4-way tie for 3rd place. By the way, that is unprecedented to have a 4-way tie to get into the playoffs. Could you imagine though if that 4-way tie was like for 7th place or 6th place and somebody got left out? Like at least this all just like, you're going to be the 3 or the 4 or the 5 or the 6 seed. Who cares? But if this tie had been a little bit lower, that would have been, you know, had a lot bigger stakes attached. So,
I'm sure that something would have happened if that was the case.
Yeah, that would have been an interesting one too. So I think we should move on to the playoffs. But before we do, we want to give a big shout out to Parody Tees, our first ever sponsor of the 4-Point Play. Parody Tees is this awesome online store that sells funny parody logo t-shirts and other gear that allows you to taunt your rival without ever saying a word. They have a number of different sports, some NFL, college, NBA, NHL, and right now they're doing a special promotion for 4-Point Play listeners, and they are giving 10% off to anyone who uses the code 4-Point Play, all one word, FOURPOINTPLAY, on their website, www.parodytees.com. That's www.parodytease.com. So go check them out, use the code, and get 10% off. Also, check them out and follow them on social media to see all of their new logos as they release them. And you can use their logos on your social media pages. If you follow me, you've probably already seen my Thunder vs. Warriors and Thunder vs. Celtics posts during the regular season using the Parody Tees logos. Super awesome. I love these guys. Go check them out and remember to use the code 4-Point Play, all one word, to save 10% on their website, www.parodytees.com.
And I think I'm going to go get me that New England shirt because I'm a Giants fan and I hate New England. So.
That is my favorite. So I'm not really that big a football fan. I think that this is the funniest shirt. They've basically got a quarterback, not a quarterback. So they've got, I don't know, a center. What do they even call it in football? It's how little I know about football. They've got the center hiking a deflated football with the same guy holding a video camera in the other hand. Like, I just feel like that it's just the greatest knock. And some of these teams are hard. Like, they do a really good job. Like, some of these I wouldn't even know how to, like, make fun of. And some of the stuff they come up with is really great. So I find their stuff highly
definitely
amusing.
check them out.
Yeah. So let's talk playoffs. So
okay,
what'd you watch? What'd you think? What'd you ignore?
I actually ignored a lot of them.
Okay.
I caught a lot of highlights and I caught up on a lot of reviews.
Was that due to time constraints or lack of interest?
A little bit of both.
Okay.
A little bit. See, I'm more interested in the West Coast games, and the West Coast games for me being on the East Coast is well, no, they're hard for me because all right, first of all, I wanted to see the Trailblazers and the Clippers, and I didn't realize how I didn't think the Trailblazers were going to get rocked the way they did. I was also looking forward to seeing what do you call it? Not San Antonio, because I knew that they were going to
Golden State?
kind of
Oklahoma City Thunder?
Yes.
Golden State.
Oklahoma City
Thunder.
That's what I was. Yeah, that's what I was looking forward to seeing. And yeah, I was also looking to see the Thunder just because I wanted to see what the Rockets.
Those were the 2 late games.
Right. So those games were the ones I was interested in. They were too late for me to stay up and watch. I'm a little concerned to see what happens with Steph Curry, because I think that if you win 73 games, you better damn win this championship. It's almost like, I don't know how I would feel, and I'm sure the players have already